begun gathering outside of my house with pitchforks and torches to show their mettle. You've, of course, got Hill House, undefeated, third or second in the state at New London, which should be interesting. Obviously, the Ledyard Woodstock girls is one of the highlights of today.
Yeah, relevant to today's discussion. That is the game that I am most interested in, because as people can see, we got to start a new one for Instagram. Well, that was fun.
Are we back?
Partially. Almost. We're back. We're back.
Will you be on screen?
We're back. Oh, we want to be on screen. You're very needy.
I am. I have so many asks.
So sorry, everybody.
I mean, that was a first. Sheer volume, was it the sheer numbers of people rushing to the Eastern Connecticut Girls Power Rankings?
It was the number of people rushing to see you.
Well, I mean, how could you not? How could you not be a part of that? So what we were saying before we were unceremoniously dumped is that there's a lot of big games on both the boys and the girls side tonight. There's 2 girls games, which I'm going to highlight as we go through the power rankings. But we mentioned a couple of boys' games that are going to be of note as well. Live from the Day Studios, 200 State Street in New London, Connecticut, is the Eastern Connecticut Girls Basketball Power Rankings. Public service announcement, Eastern Connecticut means New London and Windham counties. New London and Windham counties.
And power rankings does not equal who would win. Power rankings are, if you will, graded on a curve, rating teams against their relative divisions, schedules, and expectations.
For example, Peter beats me in a game of one-on-one. But in week 10, Peter's record is 2 wins and 8 losses. And my record is 8 wins and 2 losses. We will not be using he beat you head-to-head to determine where our rankings were. We'd be looking at the records and, in addition, the head-to-head. So you wonder why certain teams that might be under 500 can make the power rankings. It's because they've played an exceptional schedule. Or why teams at 8-0 aren't higher on the power rankings. It's because maybe they haven't played enough of a schedule. So there's a lot goes into it. I also want to caution people that literally, nothing changes in the real world based on our power rankings.
And I'm going to make an offer for people, and we'll talk about this more later in this segment and more next week. But if you disagree with what we are putting on this chart, don't just tell us we're idiots. Use the comment section to give us your top 10.
Yeah.
We're interested in hearing from you, but we're interested in hearing something constructive. So if you disagree, don't just tell us we're wrong. Give us your top 10. I would really like to see that.
And to paraphrase George Costanza, I need you to tell me I'm an idiot. I mean, you are whoever you are.
That's my job.
You're way down on the list. There are at least 5 people who have been paying their dues for decades to call me an idiot. I mean, Peter's been calling me an idiot for over 20 years now.
All right, number one.
And I don't even know you for that long. Number one is actually, we're going to jump right out with some controversy. Now, let me start by saying that Holly McCalla, who is our girls basketball research wing of game day, has weighed in with her top 10, and my top 10 and her top 10 are combined, and we both agree that number 1 is very interesting. It will remain Ledyard despite them having not played a game this week. So the last time we saw Ledyard, they beat New London, and they're going to retain the top spot. But other than a team that's making its debut later on in the power rankings, no one has played fewer games than Ledyard. They've only played 6 games up till now, so it's kind of difficult to judge them. But tonight, biggest game on the eastern half of the state will be the Ledyard girls and the Woodstock Academy girls. And if you want to look at Ledyard, their next 3 games, Woodstock Academy, New Britain, and Stonington, combined record 18-5, with New Britain being 8-0. So we're going to learn a lot about Ledyard in the next 3 games.
And so I went ahead and assumed that we're sliding Woodstock into the number 2 spot because I want to talk about both of these teams in relation to each other. So New London, the common opponent, wins for both. Is there an incumbency bias in your creation of this poll? Like, same thing on the boys' side. Ledyard and Fitch have both been riding since the preseason as the number 1 teams. Is there a bias? Like, I started this team at number 1. They're going to have to stay there unless something shocking happens. Is that, like, we're going to get an answer tonight, so this question sort of becomes moot. But is there anything that Woodstock could have done over the last couple of weeks to leapfrog Ledyard?
Yes, and unfortunately, because of the holidays, there just weren't enough games for that to happen. So if Woodstock, for example, had gone out of conference and beaten a prominent statewide team, or if they had beaten the 3, 4, 5 teams recently this week, I could have seen a bump over Ledyard, who was idle, essentially, for the week. But what Woodstock did do is beat Waterford. But what I took from that has a lot more to do with Waterford than it does Woodstock. I will say, without getting specific, that I had a person at the absolute top of their profession in the game of basketball give me detailed insight into the Woodstock-Waterford game. And Woodstock evidently shot like 80% from 3. I think Woodstock might have the most talented roster of the ECC teams, and I'm really, really looking forward to Ledyard Woodstock because I think Ledyard has, I don't know what adjective I want to use, but there's something about Ledyard's toughness, determination, grit, whatever. There's something about Ledyard that is very appealing to me. Tonight's game will determine next week's number 1.
So I guess there's really no point in discussing this because it's all supposition. It's going to be decided tonight. So we can move on to things that maybe require some more or merit some more discussion.
All right. Well, jumping all the way up from 6-3, the New London High School Whalers. Why? Well, they had 2 wins this week. They beat Wyndham, but they also beat East Lyme. And if you saw, East Lyme was sitting there at 3 in last week's countdown. That was a really good win for New London. East Lyme did not shoot it as well as they have in other games, which I think also speaks a little bit to how New London defends. New London can turn things kind of ugly. New London has Fitch on the 23rd. I think that's the next game I'll kind of point to get my bearings on New London. I think New London is a classic tournament buster. I don't know that they can play consistent enough basketball to win like 4 straight games to win a tournament, but they can beat anybody. So it's like the team you don't want to see on your side of the bracket.
And I think to paraphrase some of the comments we've had on boys and girls, it's hard. Fitch and New London is another one that's hard to compare because they haven't played each other and they don't have a ton of common opponents. And Fitch has definitely played a hard schedule. They have lost to some very good teams, and it is, especially early in the season, it's hard to give credit to somebody for losing to a good team. Like that doesn't hurt you
right
in these rankings, but it's hard to conjure up some reason that a team with a worse record should be ahead of a team with a better record because of who they lost to.
It really is. And I think this is why so we talked about like the dog days of the season. They're kind of, we are now in between the quarter and third pole of the season. This is where now we're on the other side of the holidays. Basically, the next 2 weeks, the next 6-7 games are just not uneventful, but it's the routine. It's where you settle into the season right now. So
the next how many games?
7 or 8 games. Next 5 to 8 games. I don't acknowledge. Coming in at number 4, jumping up from 5, the Stonington Bears. Why? Well, it wasn't just that they beat Fitch. It was that they held them to 29 points, which is very impressive. Cadmus in that game, 14 points, 25 rebounds. Like that's a big box score right there.
Yeah.
Bears at 5-2. We'll see. They have one of the games of interest tonight as they take on Waterford. And Waterford may have as talented a starting 5 as any of these teams. They don't have a lot of depth. Kind of waiting for a couple of the Waterford players to really put it together. And I think Waterford's very dangerous. And so that Stonington-Waterford game will be one to watch tonight as well. Slipping from 3 to 5, the Vikings, East Lyme. You know, they got the best record at 6-2. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they weather the next 3. They have Waterford, Stonington, Woodstock Academy as their next 3 games. That's going to be very interesting. If you look at what is Woodstock and Stonington are both above them in the rankings. Waterford's just behind them. Huge rivalry game. I think we'll find out a lot about Stonington. I don't know that anyone's playing better than Kaylin Delaney right now. She's been amazing. And East Lyme, I think has the most volatile stretch right now. Right? They could, if they were to win against Waterford, Stonington, and Woodstock, you'd have to argue that they're maybe 1 or 2 in the power rankings. If they are to lose some of those games, you have to start wondering where they fit. So this is going to be an interesting stretch.
I mean, what's going to happen is everybody's going to win some, everybody's going to lose some, and we are going to be
in the same boat. Yeah.
Left with a mess trying to make something definitive.
Yeah. So speaking of a mess, coming in at 6, the Fitch Falcons. Why are they a mess? They're under 500. They're 3-4. But yet I have very little doubt that they belong in the conversation as one of the best teams in the ECC. But that loss to Stonington was concerning. Sanaa Waters scored 18 of their 29 points. 29's not enough to be competitive at the highest level. They play, like I said, New London on the 23rd. I think this ranking is not about the 3-4. It's about what they've done.
It's about right
3.
now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Fitch, yes, lost to Woodstock, but lost to Woodstock by 3 points. So Fitch is in that middle tier of this top 10 as a team that can absolutely beat every team above them.
Right. I would put them sort of comparable to what I said about NFA on the boys' side. Could be the number one, could be the best team in the league. But, I mean, is there anyone who thinks if Fitch wins the ECC Girls Championship that it's a surprise? And I'm thinking the answer is no. But right now they're below 500. So I don't think that's going to last for very long.
No, and this, I mean, it's early to be talking about this, but this sets up a very, very interesting ECC playoffs.
It does.
Right? Like, there have been years where it was pretty clear in both Division I and Division II that there were 2 favorites, maybe 3, and then there were some very overmatched opponents in the semifinals.
Yeah.
So right now, excluding Stonington because they're in the ECC Division III playing in the tournament Division II, there are 5 teams here that one of them is not going to make the semifinals.
Correct.
Which is mind-blowing.
Yes. It's a very top-heavy, like Division I tournament is deeper than it's been in a long time. There is no clear-cut number one. At this point in the season, obviously, long way to go. Moving up from 8 to 7. How do you move up with a loss? Well, it's because Waterford played really, really well against Woodstock Academy. Came back from being down. Woodstock, again, shot 80% from three-point line. My NBA insider said that he's never seen a shooting display. He said, like, Woodstock in the first half could have played against Coast Guard, or Conn College, because they shot it that well. Waterford is trying to get by without much depth, and I think the key to Waterford is really Marlena Childs. She continues to get better. When she continues to get better, they are really good. We know Walker's outstanding. The Tivens are outstanding. We know Waterford's supporting cast. Childs is a unique talent in that we don't see a lot of girls with her combination of ball handling, size, and strength, and she's a mismatch problem. I think Waterford is not only getting her to shake off her rust, but they're figuring out what's the best way to utilize her. And as they continue to grow with that, I think Waterford's going to get better, but they're just not going to be able to overcome the depth issue. They're going to have to find a way to work around that. Moving up from 9 to 8, Parish Hill. Why? Well, they're still undefeated. 7-0, Parish Hill. Now, I did a deep dive for those people who say I don't do any research at all, and I did look at what Parish Hill's schedule looks like the rest of the way. You could make a case that there is no team on their schedule, except for the two I'm about to name, who are games that I would consider to be equal to or where there might be underdogs. They are playing 500 or sub-500 teams the rest of the way. But they have 6-0 Weaver. Weaver, who is in Division 4. Parish Hill's in Division 5. 6-0 Weaver. And 7-1 Innovation, who is currently the number 3 team in Division 5. Parish Hill is currently the number 1 team in Division 5. So Parish Hill, I fully expect them to stay in this power ranking because I think outside of those two games, but those two games are what will allow Parish Hill to move up from this bottom 3. Like if they were to beat undefeated Weaver, like I would have no problem putting Parish Hill up higher than, much higher than 8. But right now they have done everything they can. So this is the perfect example. For those out there going, blah, 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 blah. Do I think Parish Hill is a better team than Ledyard? I'm not suggesting that. What I'm saying is that Parish Hill is undefeated. They can't do any better than that. There's nothing more they can do than be undefeated. So they are worthy of this power ranking.
Yeah. So I'm putting it on my calendar now. Wednesday, 1:28, Weaver at Parish Hill.
Yeah.
Unless something comes up, I want to go see the Pirates.
There you go. Coming in at number 9, making their debut in the countdown, the 3-1 Plainfield Panthers. Panther Pride. They get in here because they beat Wheeler. And looking at their schedule, I think they're in a spot where they should rattle off a handful of victories. Notice only 3-1. We mentioned, other than Ledyard, no one's played fewer games. Whereas East Lyme has played 8. New London's played 9. Plainfield's only played 4 games. So there's a lot of games coming on their schedule, and a lot of them are winnable games. So it wouldn't surprise me if in 2 weeks you look at Plainfield and they're 12-2 or something like that. I think they're in the countdown to stay. And they're playing well.
We were warned 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That Plainfield is going to be in the top 10 soon, and they deserve it.
And I have an insider in Plainfield, and my insider in Plainfield said the best compliment he can give is this group of girls loves playing for their head coach. And when you get a team that buys into their head coach, then sky's the limit. So, staying in the countdown but sliding from 7 to 10, Wheeler, 5-4. I think the Lions are a really good example of they struggle with teams bigger and better, bigger and higher up in the divisions than them. They are very, very good in their division. Zoe Brown had a 25-20 box score in a loss. If you got someone scoring 25 with 20 rebounds, you're not supposed to lose. You're not supposed to lose that game. Wheeler's got some matchups coming up in the next weeks, which will keep. I will say this: Wheeler will not stay at 10. They will either be up or out based on this next week where they have a bunch of good matchups.
Yeah, so I mean, Wheeler has cemented themselves so far as the top team in ECC Division 4. Aside from the Plainfield loss, all their losses are out of conference.
Right.
So the test for them is can they punch a little bit above their weight? Can they run with the bigger ECC schools?
Teams like Norwich Tech, St. Bernard, Lyman, keeping my eyes on teams that have gotten through. And by the way, I'm acutely aware that one injury makes a week, not even like a season-ending injury. You get a player that misses a couple games or is slowed by an ankle injury for a couple of games. Like, things move quickly.
Yeah.
Teams are starting to get healthier. Teams are starting to get their rotations set. So I expect a lot. To your point, Peter, rather than just tell me what a fool I am, of which I have plenty of people occupying that spot, submit your 10. Give us an example of what your top 10 would be. Tell us why teams belong where they belong. Give us evidence. Give us data. Fill our comment section with those things.
All right, so we need to talk for a couple. I need you to vamp.
I need to vamp. All right.
While I do some quick research, because I think I made a mistake. We maybe made a mistake, and I want to check on one thing.
All right. I mean, I've been saying for a while now that I don't make mistakes. This would be very, very interesting. I said I'm not. It's not that I don't know. I just haven't learned yet. But I think one of the main things about this particular power ranking set, the boys, we kind of divided up into 3 tiers of teams. I think in this one it's very top heavy. Division 1 and Division. So the Division 1 tournament occupies 5 of the top 6 spots.
Okay, and this was the correction that was sent to us in the comments, and we were wrong. Stonington, ECC Division 2 regular season.
That's right. They are now in the Division 1 tournament.
So Stonington. So it doesn't change other than we made the mistake of excluding Stonington.
Right. So the boys are in Division 3, Division 2. The girls, off of their recent success, have moved up, which means
so out of those top 6, 2 of those teams are not going to make the semifinals. Which if you want me to put you on the hot seat right now, Casey, choose 2 of those teams.
Well, I'm going to go a step further. What division is Waterford?
Waterford is also in ECC Division 2. So 2 of those top 7 teams, 3 of those top 7 teams are not going to make the tournament semifinals.
Yes, 3 of those top 7 teams are not even going to make the semifinals, and I think clearly for it can make it. So I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have much to say. I think that you could pick you could pick teams 7, 6, and 5.
Yeah.
You could weight a Fitch or an East Lyme as a D1 over the Stonington and Waterfords in the D2. I don't think. I mean, at this point in the season, it's not worth. It's not worth making a guess based on 4 to 7 games, several of which have been against out of conference opponents, and like you said, teams with injuries finding their rotations. Like where you are right now is not where you're going to be in a month and a half.
No.
But I've already got the popcorn ready.
That's right.
To watch how this girls basketball season is going to wrap up.
100%. And if you were to and again, since they're all playing each other, there's no reason to make the prediction. If you were to say to me, okay, Casey, pick the teams most likely to not make the semifinals, I can't do it. I can't. If you were to say to me the opposite, what team are you most confident in making the semifinals? It would be Ledred or Woodstock. And I would probably, right today, it would be Woodstock because Woodstock has beaten all those teams that in the ECC, and I would feel really comfortable about saying, yeah, they should get to the semis. Ledyard is right there with them, and if Ledyard beats them tonight, obviously. But, like, any one of those teams in the top 7 in the semifinals would not be a surprise to me. It would be more of a surprise of if Ledyard or Woodstock didn't find their way in. But to your point, grab the popcorn because it's about to get good. But more important than that, I want to, again, remind everyone that if you're going to criticize what we're doing, criticize it with your own set of information. Criticize it and attach your top 10. Criticize it and attach facts, not opinions, to why. We're all about correcting our mistake, as we just did in the moment. We're happy to do that.
Yeah, so it's easy to sit there in the chat and be a fan of, say, Fitch, and say, oh, Fitch should be higher than that.
Why?
Okay. Why? Or just give us your top 10.
Yep. Where do you put them? You want to put your top 10 out and you put Fitch at 1? Go right ahead.
Put your name on it. Give us your 1 through 10, and we would be happy to see it and consider it. Mm-hmm. And we are exploring ways to incorporate feedback like that in future power rankings.
So as always, if you want to be a sponsor of Game Day, and particularly of the power rankings, reach out to me, social media, and we will get something done. In the meantime, big games tonight: Ledyard, Woodstock, and Waterford and Stonington. Those highlight the girls' side of things. We'll be back next week with new power rankings from the Days studio in New London. Don't forget